Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Monday, September 22nd meeting of the Bennington Select Board. We are in the multipurpose room on the third floor of the Bennington Fire Facility on River Street in Bennington, Vermont. My name is Tom Haley. I have the honor of chairing this board, and I will ask my fellow board members to introduce themselves now.
Hi, I'm Nancy White.
Hello, Jim Sullivan.
Good evening, I'm Jackie Matz.
Yes, good evening, everyone. I am Clark Adams.
And I'm Ed Woods.
Also with us this evening, we have Acting Town Manager Dan Monks. We have Nancy Lively, who is preparing to take excellent minutes. We have Shannon Barsati sitting in for Jonas Spivak, handling the audio-visual portion of tonight's meeting. And we have Josh Boucher from Cat TV, making sure the word gets out to everyone that wants to see it. All right. So we'll start, as we always do, with the Pledge of Allegiance. Ed, would you mind?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you very much. Jim, I'm going to spring the vision statement on you this evening. You could share that with everyone and remind us, allow it to guide our work.
Good thing I have my notes out. Thanks, Tom. Bennington is a welcoming, engaged, inclusive, resilient community where everyone, regardless of identity, shares in our vitality and benefits from an outstanding quality of life.
Thank you very much. Next up, we have the consent agenda, which consists of the minutes of September 8th, the warrants, and did we have licenses? No licenses. Okay, so for the purpose of discussion, could I have a motion to accept?
Second.
Okay, any comments on the minutes or the warrants? All right, seeing none, all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And no abstentions. All right, moving on to public comment. I'll remind everyone that public comment is a period to allow residents the opportunity to share information or make announcements that benefit the community at large. The topic should not be related to an agenda item. If a member of the public wants to comment on an agenda item, you will have an opportunity to do so when we discuss that agenda item. Please do keep your comments to 3 minutes or less. State your name and your legal name and town of residence. And sharing comments, announcements, and concerns are encouraged rather than asking questions. This is not a discussion period. If you have specific questions, it's best to approach the manager to get a full explanation and accurate information. If we do have time at the end of public comment to address any issues that are brought up during public comment, we will do that at the end of the public comment period. So first up, we have Kate Cost on CPARB announcements.
Good evening, Kate Cost, Bennington. I have two announcements as chair of the Community Policing Advisory Review Board. The first is an update on our rescheduled presentation on Act 56. We've rescheduled that presentation by Mr. Christopher Burkell, Executive Director of the Vermont Police Academy, for our regularly scheduled meeting on Thursday, October 23rd. I'm announcing that really because we're meeting 2 hours earlier to accommodate Mr. Burkell's travel. And so we'll be meeting at 4 o'clock in the afternoon rather than 6 o'clock in the evening. Recall that Act 56 concerns the professional regulation of law enforcement and oversight by the Vermont Criminal Justice Council and has been in effect since July 1st, 2018. Given the vote last spring on the town charter amendment dealing with police oversight, this presentation will provide the community with information about what is currently in place. The governor, as you know, the governor and legislature will vote on that in the spring, so we've got some time there. The second is to announce our second Public Safety Education Forum that is set for Thursday, November 6th from 6 to 8 p.m. in the multipurpose room in the firehouse. This forum brings together members of the legislature, the public, and public and nonprofit professionals. Panelists will focus on current sentencing practices and the opportunities and challenges they present. This was something that the attendees and the panelists both recommended that we have this forum. So this forum is to talk about ensuring successful completion of court orders, and second, to address community concerns in ensuring safety and crime prevention. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we have Josh Odell, who wants to talk about a fence for Bennington Elementary.
Hi, my name is Josh Odell. I'm a resident here in Bennington, Vermont. I have a 7-year-old daughter who currently goes to Bennington Elementary School. I was informed about 3 weeks ago of an incident that took place at the school regarding a member of the community walking past. A full-grown adult stopped and talked to some of the children at the elementary school, which I did find quite alarming. And with the support of the staff of the school, principal, I have signatures from about 30 separate people in and out of the administration, as well as parents who are concerned for the safety of their kids and some of the hazards of that pathway. And what we're proposing is to try to see if the town would be willing to assist in funding for a fence, wooden, about 6 feet tall, along that walkway. On the inside, the outside of the fence, I know that there's the discrepancy of if it's the school's responsibility or the town's, but just trying to find a better option here for our kids to not have to be at risk of that. It was a very concerning incident, and we did have an incident prior last year with an individual that walked by with a gun up the same pathway. So we're just trying to create a barrier to where the kids are not having to be pulled away from their play area extensively, because right now they have a 5-foot distance from the fence, but I feel like that's an unjust and unfair thing for the children. Why should we limit their play area for an adult who made a bad decision, rather than try to find a solution? So I currently have a petition of 30 signatures, 30 names from the administration and from concerned parents, and just would like to address this and see if there's the proper channels to get that done. That's really all I have. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mike Bethel.
First off, I'd like to back up what that gentleman just said. If we can maybe have an agenda item to talk about the safety of Ben L. and the children, I don't think that would be a bad idea, especially the way the world's getting so squirrely. The other thing is, I want to throw my support totally behind Dan Marks as the next town manager. Dan and I have agreed and disagreed on things over the years, but mostly we've agreed. Stu prepped him to be the next town manager, and a silent little prayer for Stu wouldn't hurt once in a while. But I think Dan could do a good job, and as you all know, I've talked to most of you, trying to get a new town manager, recruiting him from the outside world and everything else. Just look at what happened to Brattleboro a few years ago. We don't need that. We've got a great staff. Dan's a smart guy, and
I think we ought to just keep Dan. The other thing is, I have to, Shannon Posada is probably going to faint, but I have to give her compliments for what this, don't faint, please, for the skateboard park. I went at the opening there, and it was tremendous. Are you going to have problems with it, with, fights and stuff like that? Probably. But it did bring a lot of the people together, and the community was there. And I'm going to talk to a couple of people I know. They do need benches, right? You think you need benches? I'm going to see if we can't get some money up so people can go and watch their kids, grandparents can watch their kids skate, and I just want to say that. But my big plug is for Muncie over there. I hate doing. He didn't pay me either. I know you think he paid me, but he didn't. But I hope you follow through with Mr. Monks and put an agenda item on, if you would, if there's a security problem in Bennell. I don't want to hear anything about children in Bennington. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak that didn't have a chance to sign up before the meeting? All right. Well, thank you very much. Not a lot there for follow-up. Mr. Odell, I think maybe you would pay Mr. Monks a visit, and you guys could maybe talk about some options there. Do you have anything, Dan?
I would also suggest that they reach out to the SVSU, because it is Bennell property there as well. So maybe there's something we can do collaboratively, but I would certainly want the school to be involved in that.
Could we get this on the agenda so we're all going to be aware?
All right, we'll take a look at that. I'm not sure whose agenda that would belong on at
It
this
may be
point.
more appropriate on the school agenda, so we could have a conversation, obviously, with those folks.
So we'll reach out to them and see what we think is most appropriate. All right, next. We're going to hear from the Francis of Assisi Society for Animals. Their presentation will be led by several of their members. They're going to discuss the stray cat problem here in Bennington.
Hello, my name is Jackie Berry, and I am a Bennington, Vermont resident. And I'm here representing Francis of Assisi Rescue with a few other of our volunteers. And we are here presenting to the board because of the growing stray cat population in Bennington. First, we're going to talk a little bit about who we are. If you don't know, we are an all-volunteer, all-donation-run cat rescue. We were founded in 2003 by Magdalena Usatei, who is in the audience here tonight. And again, we're supported only by donations, and we're all volunteer. We're a registered 501c3. We're out in the field getting feral cats, doing TNR, trap, neuter, and release. We're getting abandoned cats sometimes that are able to be adopted. We don't have a shelter. We foster in our homes. Our volunteers dedicate their time, a lot of their own funds, to make sure that these animals are safe and go to good homes. And we never want to see the day that we cease to exist because we don't have funding to keep going. And with that, I'm going to introduce Rebecca Sentner.
Thanks, Jackie. I'm Rebecca Sentner. I'm a resident here at Bennington, and as she said, I'm a volunteer for this organization. And I'm going to spend a few minutes, next slide please, talking about the situation we're finding ourselves in right now. We're really at a critical point concerning the population of cats in Bennington. And by cat population, I just want to be very clear that I am talking about unowned stray and feral cats, not people's pets. We're all for people having more cats at home. As Jackie said, Francis of Assisi has been doing great work for over 20 years, finding homes for many of these cats. And in fact, I would say that many residents in this town wouldn't even know that there is a cat problem here because of the hard work that this organization has been doing for decades and been able to keep those numbers manageable and down. And this is all up until recently. So over the years, as you'll see on the slide, we have seen a big increase this year. So we had seen incremental increases over time, and suddenly we have a giant spike. We have an increase of 300% of kittens coming through our doors right now. That's huge. So you can say, okay, well, why is that our problem? Why is that the town's problem? Why isn't that just this organization's problem? Well, let me explain to you what happens. When you have cat overpopulation, cats start competing for food, for water, for shelter, and other limited resources, okay? And that means that the weakest and youngest, usually the sweetest and the most adoptable cats will suffer the most. That means kittens and cats that have never had to fight for food before in their lives are going to starve to death, freeze to death, end up with upper respiratory infections, and other serious illnesses. And some of these illnesses are contagious and dangerous and pose a risk, or could potentially pose a risk to people's pets and to people. As population grows and these cats come in closer and closer contact with us, people's dogs we know some dogs like to chase cats, right? That's potential for dogs to be running away from home, chasing cats, cats running out into the street, getting hit by cars, dogs getting hit by cars that are chasing cats, people getting into accidents avoiding cats. None of this is things we want to see in this town. Residents don't want to go out to dinner and see a starving cat by a dumpster. They don't want to see sick kittens as they're walking down Main Street. Residents don't want to see this. They don't want to see a car in front of them hit a cat, but they're going to the bank. We don't want to see this in our town. We don't want visitors that are coming through or passing through our town to be seeing these things. And I think, we are at a point right now, a critical point, where we need to do something. That spike right now, we need to turn it around and bring it back down to a manageable level that this organization can handle again and continue to do the great work it's been doing for a long time. I just want to say that we are not vilifying cats here, okay? I love cats. We all love cats, right? That's why we do the work we do. We donate our time and energy because we love cats. These cats, they're just being cats. And they're doing something that cats do very well. And that is make new cats. Next slide. I'm going to demonstrate it, and I'm going to use a little cat toy to do it. Okay, so this is the real situation. So you have a mother cat here, right? She has a litter, say 4 kittens. She could have more, but we're going to say 4 kittens. We're going to say half of these kittens are females. Those 2 female kittens can go into heat and become pregnant at 5 months old. So that means by 8 months, they can be having their first litter. Mama cat, once they're weaned, she can go back into heat and she can be having her second litter. So at 8 months, she can have 4 kittens, and each of these 2 can have 4 kittens, and we end up with 12 new kittens. 8 more months go by. Mama cat, she's having her 3rd litter. These 2 guys from her first litter, they're having their second litter, and we'll say 50% of these are female, and they're all having their first litter. Now we have 36 new cats. In 16 months, we have gone from 1 cat to 53 cats. This is every cat that our organization right now can't keep up with. This is what's happening. And you can be thinking, well, why is this happening in Bennington right now? Next slide. Well, it's not just happening in Bennington, I can say that much. This is happening across the country right now. There's a lot of things post-COVID, less vet services available, they're more expensive, there's housing crisis, places aren't allowing people to have pets anymore. All these things are kind of culminating. They're happening in big cities, they're happening in Florida and California and New York, they're happening in Hoosick Falls, they're happening here in Bennington. All these things are coming together to form the situation we're seeing ourselves in right now. And on that happy note, I'm going to pass it off to Deirdre, and she's going to talk about solutions.
Thanks, Rebecca. I'm Deirdre Ryan. I'm a resident of Bennington. Now, who here on the board has heard of TNR or TNVR? All right, we got 2 people. 3 people. All right. You're not on the board, but we'll count you. So trap, neuter, and return, or trap, neuter, vaccinate, return started basically in the 1950s in Europe. It came here to the U.S. in the 80s. It is a proven method to control cat populations. You can see here that the steps are basically, we trap the cats, we have the equipment, the experience, and the knowledge. We then take them to a vet. We have relationships with over 15 vets in southern Vermont. The vet evaluates them, tests them for diseases, and then if they are of age, fixes them, neuters or spays them, vaccinates them, and then at that point, we take them back into our homes, and if they can be rehomed, we rehome them. If they can't, we release them, and they've been sterilized. And this is how we address the situation that Rebecca had brought up. It's important to note that there's a difference between feral cats and domesticated cats. So feral cats are kittens that are born in the wild of Bennington or elsewhere who have not been socialized. They cannot become pets. They cannot be taken into your home. They're fearful of humans, and what we need to do is those feral cats need to be sterilized to reduce the future number of feral cats. Domesticated cats will come towards you, they'll meow, they'll look for food. Those are the ones that we then work on adopting. Thank you. So basically, it costs us around $150 to spay, neuter, and vaccinate a cat. This is an average. There are different variables. Male cats are cheaper. It's easier to fix them than female cats. Sometimes the cats we get have injuries or illnesses, eye infections, so it kind of ranges, but that is sort of the average that we get from the vets that we work with. And we are here for a one-time financial ask. We have never come before the town before to ask for money, but we, as Rebecca and Jackie have noted, we are at a critical point. Also, I want you to know we're not looking for funds for equipment, the time and effort it takes to trap them, to care for them, feed for them. We are looking for basically the town to provide funds to contribute towards spay, neuter, vaccinate, and transport the cats. We have 3 scenarios here. The first is $4,000. This would cover approximately 24 cats, which would be around $3,600 in vet bills, and then transport expense of $360. Right now, we kind of do it ad hoc. I have a Subaru Impreza. I can fit about 7 cats comfortably in my car. If we can get a van and take a big number of them, that would be much more helpful. And then you'll see, based on the chart that Rebecca had reviewed, we'd be reducing the cat population. The next scenario we have is $6,000. This would cover approximately 35 cats and 2 vans. And then the third ask is $8,000, which would cover 46 cats, cost about $7,000 in vet bills, and then possibly we would rent 3 vans to take the cats. So while this is a one-time ask, we will continue to work with the community for long-term solutions. This includes ongoing community outreach and educational information for the town. Jonah had posted a few graphics about the importance of TNR, and that led to other people reaching out to us. We also want to work with the town and show the impact of the funding in terms of the number of cats we've trapped, neutered, and returned, and the effect on the community. And lastly, we will continue to do this work with or without the funding, but obviously it would be a lot easier if we could get some funding to sort of get ahead of this current crisis that we're at. Thank you. Any questions?
All right, thank you very much.
Oh, wait.
Oh, we have.
Sorry.
There's a part 4.
Yeah, one of our supporters, Tom Haskins, who owns All Service Garage at the end of Lincoln Street, wasn't able to make it, so he gave us a letter and asked us to read to you. I am writing in support of Francis of Assisi Rescue and the important work they do in Bennington. Their efforts make a real difference in controlling the stray animal population and ensuring cats in need receive care and safe homes. Last winter, a stray cat at our shop gave birth to a litter of kittens during the bitter cold stretch of weather we had. They were weak, in need of food and shelter, and hiding under our equipment. Jackie Berry from Francis of Assisi Rescue made multiple trips out at all hours of the evening to safely trap the mother and kittens. Thanks to her persistence, they were warmed, checked for health, and eventually rehomed with families. Without this intervention, they likely would not have survived, or the cycle of strays would have continued. No doubt they have provided the same service throughout our community many times in the past. This is just one example of how Francis of Assisi Rescue serves our community with compassion and dedication. On behalf of myself and All Service Sitco LLC, I want to thank them and encourage continued support for their important and often unrecognized mission. Sincerely, Tom Haskins. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Yes. Yep, we'll let the public speak right after we, yep, just like we, who had their hand up? Jim?
Yeah, I just had a couple of questions. First of all, thank you for the work that you do. Much appreciated and important. I was wondering, like, if your funding level that you've had from supporters in the past has dropped off, or if that's remained stable and this is just because of the spike that we've seen. And secondly, I was just wondering if you folks have any relationship with Second Chance Animal Shelter?
We have seen a drop in funding. People their expenses have started to skyrocket, and it's affecting how much they can give. But also, a lot of it has to do with the rising costs of vet care. And we are not affiliated with Second Chance. We don't have a shelter. We're just all foster network.
I mean, it seems like while you do slightly different things, your objectives are kind of aligned. I was just wondering if you coordinate or talk with them.
We have reached out before. We have had a couple of situations where we've kind of partnered up, a hoarding situation last year. But we're more out in the field, getting them off the streets as to where people, I think, bring their animals there or to surrender, so it's a little bit different. But yes, the same goal is to get these animals in safely and off the streets.
Nancy?
Have you reached out to any of our local fraternal organizations that are all volunteer, that work year-round to raise money? Many are very successful in fundraisers. And have you talked to any of them?
I did bring an ask letter to, I believe it's the VFW, is that the one kind of past? Well, yes. So yes, I have. And we do host fundraisers as well.
But we have a lot of different groups in Bennington. Did you just talk to the VFW?
The one, yes, I have just talked to that one in Bennington, correct.
Okay, well.
That's a good idea.
There may be several organizations where one might be interested. Okay. I think to raise $5,000 would be pretty easy for some of these groups that have done it 50, 60, 70 years. They usually have great turnouts and support.
Okay, that's a great suggestion. Thank you.
Clark, then Ed.
I have a comment that follows what Nancy just said. The Bennington Rotary and the Catamount Rotary Club its mission is to raise money to support community efforts, scholarships, things like that. Just seems like there might be some relationship that could be had there. The other thing that I wanted to mention, are you aware of the town's budget cycle? If this board were to put something like that into a budget, it would be vetted this fall, voted on next spring, and not available until next July. Are you guys aware of our budget cycle?
We are aware. This is an urgent need.
Okay,
currently.
I think we're stuck there, so I'm going to stop here and ask Tom or Dan if they can speak to that.
Take this one or should?
You want to take, you can go first. It's both political and fiscal.
Yeah. You're absolutely correct in that that is the regular budget schedule, although I do understand that there are some discretionary funds that might be available if necessary.
So I can speak to the specifics on that. So the Select Board does have up to $20,000 that is expended at their discretion every year. We typically like to wait until late in the budget season to make sure that we don't need it to make up shortfalls in other areas, but that is a line item that is typically included for the Select Board if there are emergency issues that arise throughout the year.
Clark.
Hi. Follow along with other organizations that may be of assistance. Is the ASPCA, I'm fairly new to the area here, but I don't ever recall hearing much about them. Are they a presence here in southern Vermont?
There is not an ASPCA office here. The closest one is in Glens Falls, New York.
Okay. And cat census, I mean, how do we keep track of these numbers? How do we come about these numbers? I know you know what shows up at your door. But I guess if you are actively looking, of course, you're going to see more, but I can't speak for everybody else here, but in general, I am hard-pressed to think of when I've seen a stray cat in Bennington. I'm not saying it's not there, but in terms of a census, how can we get those numbers?
Well, we are approached every day by the public via email, Facebook Messenger, and phone calls of, I have found a stray cat in my backyard, a mother has given kittens under my porch, which is where we're at, where we're saying we are full at capacity and have been since spring. And Rebecca, where do we get and then the other stats as far as like how they produce? Or you're just looking at like what we're
just in general.
Well, from our experience, I mean, I could show you right now throughout town probably about 75 stray cats.
Okay. All
unfortunately.
Right. And animal control officer, are they involved with this at all?
Unfortunately, they don't respond for cats. That's probably a discussion for another board meeting.
I did ask Kim Krosick about that, and it's true that they mainly focus on vicious animals if necessary. Reminder that that is a part-time position, and she's only got so much that she can cover.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So you said there's about 70 unaltered cats out there. Are you mostly responding to residents calling and saying, like, there's a litter under my porch, or are you being more proactive and going out and finding cats that you're not being informed about?
I'm going to say that's probably about a 50-50 split. We know where there are cat colonies, and we try to get there as much as possible when we have the funding and the space to do trapping. And then, again, every day there's a call or an email about someone finding a cat.
And how do you make sure that you're not trapping cats that have already been spayed or neutered?
Well, that's a good question. A lot of protocol when you spay or trap and neuter is you tip the ear so that when you see them out in the wild that you can see the little slight slant to their ear. Not to say that you don't ever catch someone's fluffy cat that escaped in a trap, but we also check for microchip, and it's usually pretty easy to tell if a male is altered or not.
And what about like people's pets? How do you know that you're not trapping somebody's pet?
We check for microchips. Okay. We'll also check like the local community pet boards, lost and found pets in Bennington County, things like that.
Great. The only other thing I have is there is a program in Vermont, the VSNP, Vermont Spay Neuter. I'm sure you're familiar.
Yes.
Is that a potential source of funding to cover some of the vet expenses that you're incurring?
Unfortunately, no. VSNP is for individuals, and they're actually having their own budget issues. So VSNP is for, I think, anyone that gets any type of assistance, whether it be food or housing or fuel, that they can qualify, and I think it's income-based also.
Thank you.
Nancy?
This has been a big problem in Bennington for many years. A lot of people have a neighbor who feels badly for the feral cats, leaves out a ton of food at night, and it draws a huge feral cat population to the neighborhood. I remember 30 years ago, people were leaving litters of kittens out behind Kmart. So, I mean, this is a problem that, you know, it's because people take in a cat and they don't bother to have it spayed or neutered. And this is what's grown for 30-plus years.
You said there'd been a 300% spike. What are we basing that on? And, I mean, how do we know that there's a 300% spike?
That's just the numbers that are coming across our doors. So those numbers, we keep track of. So that is, we're just saying that if that's happening for the kittens that we're getting in, so this is comparing, so like the month of August this year to August 2024. Those numbers are so much higher, and we don't have the capacity in funds and human capacity to deal with these exaggerated numbers. So we're still doing what we can, but it's just the numbers are so much higher. So we're comparing to this year to last year and the previous 4 years before that too, to get that number.
Anything else from the board?
Yeah, one more.
Go ahead.
So hypothetically, if we assume that the board offered you funds to go capture 35 cats, do you feel confident that you'd be able to capture 35? Is it all like in one weekend that you would do that, or like?
Well, I think that's one of the reasons that we were talking about. Deirdre mentioned getting like a van. Okay, so right now we're doing them like 4 and 5 at a time because we are relying on somebody's car, and that's all we can fit, right? So for us to up our game, right, we need to be able to rent a van where we can put 20 cats in a van and take them up someplace and get them taken care of. So this would allow us to do that, and at a rate that we're not able to do right now.
Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
And do any of the vets in the area offer you guys any kind of discounts or?
We do work with several vets, and we do get a bit of a discount. So the price that we showed you, $150 per cat, if you went and you had a cat and you wanted to get it fixed at a vet, it'd probably cost you $400 to $600.
Okay. Anything else from the board? Anything from the public? Mike?
This group is a fantastic group. I've known about them for years. Magdalena started it. It's a tremendous group. What I would try to do, though, you guys right now should be giving out an address where people can send you a check. Right here at the select board, this plays several times over. People have a warm heart. They're going to send you a check. So please, before you stop, do that. Also, do they know about you can get on the ballot in the spring to get 500 signatures? Tell us more. Okay, see?
I thought
Tom doesn't like that one, but
That's
I'll tell
only
you more.
for.
I did dislike it.
That's only for social service agencies. It doesn't mean that the board couldn't choose to put them on the ballot, but they aren't automatically put on the ballot unless they're a social service agency and get this.
Well, this isn't a social service?
It does not have to do with human services, no. But certainly,
I still think you can do it. I don't
certainly
think
they have the right to petition.
The voters would then decide whether they want to give you money or not. Now, don't anybody look at me like I'm really stupid. I got 12 cats. And the reason I have 11, one bought the farm. 2 live outside, they're fixed, leave them alone. The 2 black ones, don't touch them. The other ones are in my house, and it's expensive, the food and everything else. There's 4 of them, females, I want to get fixed, but they're older now, and the vet cost is like $850 because an older cat's gone through all of the, but my heart goes out to you, but you need to be more creative in the way you get your message out. Obviously, all 3 of you are very sincere. I try to publicly get it out there. Ask the newspaper to run you some ads at the bottom. They're only $25 for an ad. Say, could you please give to this, and maybe the select board, you can come up. You don't have to come up and just do this. You can come up every, week and say, could you please donate it to your cause? It's for the cats, yada, yada, yada. They'll hate me for saying that. They'll take the elevator out so I can't come up here anymore. But you guys got a great cause, and I will donate $100 today. And I challenge anybody on the board to donate $100. But I'm not going to tell you my name because you'll be looking for more. But leave the address so I can send some money on this film, because it's going to be documented. Cat TV plays it over and over and over again. And I think this public will come up to your standards of what you need for hopefully this year. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, who just said that? Yeah, you need to come up to the microphone, please, and identify yourself.
I'm Roxanne Pleasant, and I'm aware of a hoarding situation. What do I do? What are the steps that I need to take to get the situation remedied?
Hoarding, not just animals, or is it?
Cats.
It's just cats, but is like the house just, well, you probably want to start, I would say, with the town health person. Yes? I don't know. Usually what happens in a hoarding situation is the town, whichever town it is, we had a situation in Pownell, the town got involved, the sheriff got involved, and then they called us, and we went in, because you have to have, obviously, permissions to go in and help with these animals. And at the time, we had room. Right now, like every other shelter, we're over full. So it's a lot of coordinating, but it definitely, I would report if these animals are suffering.
What about just catching the cats? How would one go about that? I don't live right there, but I'm aware of the situation. The cats get run over. There are new kittens right now. I saw them just playing on the sidewalk in front of this house. I don't know what to do.
That's why we're here. It's everywhere. You're right. It's everywhere, and we can't keep up. So that's why we're presenting today. So we're always needing more volunteers.
What would I do as a volunteer? Someone calls and says this. What are my rights? Catching those cats. How do I get traps? Well, all this.
Right. So that's something that we could talk about offline, about if you want to join
everyone might want to
organization. So that, yes, something like you would become a volunteer. We would determine that they are definitely stray or abandoned cats. And then when we have space, we would go trap them, ones that are nice and are able to be fostered and adopted out. That's what would happen. The ones that are maybe too old and have lived outside their whole lives and are feral would get sterilized and released. And we have a lot of community members who actually look out for these cats and make sure that they have a shelter or some food. So there's many options. It's a process.
And when you go out into the field and you see those cats, what do?
We try to get as many as we can. It's heartbreaking.
So if you have that van and those.
We don't have a van. We're asking. Yes. So our goal is to go out and try to get all of these small kittens before the cold weather comes in, get appointments for spay, neuter, try to get volunteers who will foster and curb this craziness that's happening with them just reproducing.
Can I give you that information after the meeting as to where this house is?
Sure.
Thank you.
Thank you. Put what on the agenda, Mike?
The subject to see if they can get any more publicity, get some more from the public.
They're here right now.
Well, and I was going to ask as well, do you have a website?
Yes,
or
we do. We have website, we have Facebook and Instagram.
Okay, what's the website?
The website is francisofassisirescue.org.
Okay, and so if people are interested in volunteering or whatever, they can get in touch with you there?
Yep, there's a way to direct message us. There's a link for PayPal to donate. There's also our mailing address, which is right here on Lincoln Street, to mail any donations. So, yes.
If someone sends money, will it go to you in Bennington, or is there some type of a national group where it...
No, we are all volunteer, all donations, so no one in our organization gets paid. Any money donated goes directly to funding, taking care of the cats here
The
in
Bennington group only?
Yes.
Okay.
Hello, my name is Valerie Prentice. I have worked with Jackie over the last couple of years. She's assisted me with medicine as I'm attempting to rescue many cats. You had asked her if she had funding, would she be able to trap 35 cats? For the last 2 months, I've been caring solely for 22 on my own. I have worked with several vets as far as Green Mountain in Manchester, Mount Anthony here. Everybody does what they can. Unfortunately, Second Chance Animal Center has been of absolutely no help. I understand that they're overwhelmed, so they are backed up with months and months of callbacks, whereby that time that cat you're trying to rescue is already impregnated again. So we've got this fester going on. And every vet in this region has told me this year that we are in a massive cat explosion, is how they termed it. And it's true. They're everywhere. And the mom and the dad and the blah, 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 and they keep going on. Jackie's been of great help to me in just providing even medicine for these animals to try to get them. And every animal that's even a feral little rescue doesn't mean it's unredeemable. I have a feral that I captured in Dorset when I lived up there 20 years ago, and he's lovely. And we've got a problem down here. The vets that I've worked with at Mount Anthony and Green Mountain in Manchester have understood that when I'm bringing them an animal that is technically not mine, because I can't have 22 cats, they will give you some discounts and better pricing. But we need help. We need help in the trap, neuter, release program. I wish that even Second Chance would trap, neuter, and release more animals, because we have to stem the tide. If we stopped just the handful of females that I'm caring for the last 6 months, 2 months of all the babies, then they can't procreate, and we can stem this tide of overpopulation. And it's hard because we are going towards winter, and all of our neighbors see these little kittens, and you want to help them, but there has to be some involvement. In the good old days when we were children, there wasn't animal control, and perhaps if you saw litters and stray dogs and blah, 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 they would be taken in and housed, and it would stop. But right now, we're overwhelmed. I live over off of North Branch Street, and like I said, I have dozens of cats around me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Did I see someone else over here? Okay, you and then you, Magdalena.
Hi, my name's Sandy Hale. I'm a resident of Bennington County, and I was not planning on speaking today, but I just want to say that we have personally noticed an increase in the stray cat population. We live on Oak Street. We've lived there for 7 years now, and before that, my husband's parents lived there for 30 years, and during that time, we've seen maybe 1 or 2 stray cats here and there. We currently have at least 10 stray cats in our backyard right now that we know of, and we're extremely concerned about them breeding and overpopulating the area. So we really support the trap, neuter, release. You know, we do what we can. We're prepared to put some of our own funds to help out, but we can't handle the situation. Like, we don't really know what to do. We've reached out to Francis of Assisi. We have a call into Second Chance, but I can just attest to that the population has increased from what I've seen. As far as people feeding them, like your neighbor feeding them, that's not what's causing the increase in the population. Whether you feed them or not, they're out there. And if they don't get addressed and they don't get fixed, it's only going to get worse. So that's all I wanted to say.
Thanks very much. Can we help Magdalena with the microphone, please, too? Yeah. Magdalena.
Magdalena, sit down. Yeah, I just want to clarify what Second Chance does. I was on the board of Second Chance for 10 years, and I try to tell the board that our problem was people that have very little income, that they would get cats they could not at all spay and neuter. Today, it's $300 per female cat, and I think it's $200 for male. Now, how can you ask anyone that is a low-income person to pay that amount of money? But anyway, when I was on the board at Second Chance, the reason that I started Francis of Assisi is because Second Chance will not do anything with cats that are abandoned. They will not send any of the personnel that they have out to help with animals that are abandoned. And I left the board of Second Chance because I could not see how we were not going to help the animals that are in most trouble than the animals that come to them. That, by the way, I am a scientist. I did 2 studies to find out who were these cats that came to Second Chance. And it turns out that, and the study was very well done, because I know how to make studies. I have a PhD in science, in chemistry, and whenever it comes to numbers, just talk to me and I can help. So anyway, Francis of Assisi, if I would not be there, we would be much worse situation than I am now. But anyway, my study that I did of the cats coming to Second Chance, 1 year, 95% of the cats coming from Second Chance, they were all on welfare. Then I let 1 year go, and I did it again. And this time, 93% of the cats coming to Second Chance were from welfare. So I suggested to the board that it was silly to sit there and wait for all the cats coming in. That we should do is go to the poor neighborhoods, which I did for a number of years, and in this poor neighborhood, spay and neuter the animal. Then the animal will not bring them to Second Chance because they would not be born. But Second Chance refused to send anyone to the poor neighborhood. And it was 2 or 3 of us that were doing the work. And eventually, as you can see, I cannot do that work anymore. And the 2 people that were helping me, both of them left town. And I have not been able to find anyone that is willing to go to the house of the people with low income to try to spay and neuter the cat. But the cats that are abandoned is a crime. There are many cities in the United States now where the community and the people in government they help the animals. They have volunteers that do what we're talking about doing. They have people that give them money. The towns give money so that the problem with the cat decreases. And I have calculated sometimes that the number of cats that we have, if we will get 25 people dedicating and taking care of these cats in the sense of pay, neuter, release, and feed them, probably with 25 volunteers, and I am guessing about at least $20,000, we can solve the problem. I was director of research and development for a pharmaceutical company for 25 years. And when you have a problem, you can solve it if your mind gets to try to figure it out and you have the heart to really do it. So I really ask all of you to pay attention to this problem with the cat. If nothing else, it's really a problem that you have animals suffering when they don't need to be there hungry and sick and afraid. And I hope that all of you do something about it. I tried to do it in 2003, and I have not been able to solve the problem, but I can tell you that the amount of animals that we have been able to help, you figure out 2003 till now, we do way over 100 animals a year. So just figure out mathematically how many cats we have helped. So if we can get, and we are a small organization, quite small, and we don't have any people that we employ. Everything is free. The people that work for us, they are all volunteers. So if they will earn a salary like Second Chance does, our budget will be way up. So anyway, I hope that I have tried to make you understand that Second Chance doesn't help the abandoned animals, and that Second Chance has a tremendous amount of money that we don't. So they have ever helped us. I don't think they will ever help. And then as far as asking the government in Bennington, I went to talk to Steve Hurd. Oh my God, maybe I would say at least 8 years ago. And he asked me to give him all kinds of data that I did. It was work to try to put all that data on animals together, which I did. And then his offer was just ridiculous. $10 per cat. What can we do with $10 per cat? And then he said that he was going to get some of the people that work for the town to help us. Well, I am still waiting for that help. So, you know, thanks God that now Jackie that is doing a tremendous job, even better than what I used to do, and I thought I did a very good job. Now she's talking to you. We never had a chance. I still see her to try to get help. So I am just asking you, please help.
Thank you, Magdalena.
Excuse me, one more thing. The ladies there doing me a favor, giving them this group $100. I challenge anybody that's watching this meeting to give them some money.
Thank you.
$8,000 worth of these, you said?
Yeah.
8,000? Now, my math isn't too good, okay? But that's only about 80 people, correct? To get $100? If this town can't do that, we're pathetic. I'll tell you.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks.
Okay, I can take one or two more. We are way over. If we could fix the, I'm sorry, I need to. Maybe.
My name is Roseanne Pratt. My husband, Stephen Pratt, is a Marine veteran. He's worked for Second Chance, well, volunteered for Second Chance over 9 years, the old shelter and now the new shelter, and they got a brand-new facility. They have surgery suites so the vets can come in and do spay and neuter, but they won't come down into the community and help with the stray cats. So now we volunteer with St. Francis. We use some of our own funds when they need litter and food, because I can't see one person trying to do it all on her own, with other volunteers, obviously, but it's really ridiculous. I know of families on County Street who, they have stray cats in the yards, tons of them. She took in 3. She still feeds a bunch that come, trying not to create a colony. And her cousin Mary took in 9. They've got 9 cats. So she adopted. She didn't, you know. And so that's vet bills. It's expensive. We tried to get, we got 3 50-pound sacks of litter for $56, and that barely made it in a week and a half to 2 weeks just for the cats that are being boarded. So the money, it's got to come from somewhere, and they're doing a town a favor not having stray cats running around causing car accidents and children running after them in the streets. Plus, they're cute, and you want to bring them home, you just know it. So I thank you.
Thank you. All right. Last one.
Hello, my name is Dorothy Bucksbaum, and I live in Bennington now. Was North Bennington and then Shaftesbury. My mom's worked with Magdalena and Shelley Duboff and Joan Levine many, many years ago when it was the Humane Society, and now it's Second Chance. Magdalena has handed it over to Jackie, who's done a spectacular job, impossible job. I've been helping on and off for a few years. I've been rescuing animals since I'm this high out of grants when they used to not have water in cages. But I was here last year for the winter, and usually I'm away for the winter, and noticed stray cats in the north of Bennington area and found out there was a group of feral cats there. Called Jackie and went on YouTube and built some houses for them, or they probably wouldn't have survived the winter. They're still using them. I go every single day. I feed them. I give them water. There's no water in the winter, so you have to bring warm water. And thanks to Jackie, there's still 2 more to go, but we spayed and neutered 5. I got 1 cat the day before she had a litter. We call her Mama Cat. I saw her today when I fed her. And she, thanks to Jackie, we got a big cage, put it in my garage, I moved my car, and she had 4 kittens that night. And she stayed with me for 10 weeks, and then Jackie found a bigger home for them, and they're now have been spayed and neutered and being adopted out. Mama Kitty was spayed, and she has been released, and I see her every day. I see some of the biggest problem as, yes, you do have some vets that help you, but you cannot get appointments. They, of course, are going to take appointments from people that are paying the full freight. So you call Jackie and say, can we get appointments? And she says, we have to prioritize the pregnant mamas, obviously, to try to slow the cycle down. But we need more appointments. We need better pricing. We need more vets involved. We need more people. Jackie and I were talking about going to businesses and trying to get them to sponsor us, and maybe a monthly donation, and that's a possibility. But this problem is not going away. And cats they have no laws to protect them whatsoever. They have us. And you judge a society by how they care for their animals. And we're here before you to help us. We need help, and we need money, and we appreciate all your suggestions, and we'd appreciate as much money as you can spare out of that $20,000. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jim?
I have an idea.
We have Alice Miller, ladies and gentlemen.
I'm Alice.
Of Bennington? Shaftesbury?
Yeah, right. And I had a few accidents recently. Laid in the hospital for 5 months, but I'm going to get better. You'll see. How many people in Bennington? 13,000, 16,000?
About 14.
Something about it around there?
A little under 16.
Voters? How many voters?
About 9.
Show up.
Yeah.
11,000 maybe. 10, 11,000.
So children are in that number of 13 or 15?
Children don't vote.
Speak up, I'm hard of hearing.
Children don't vote.
Well, anyway, that's a lot of people. What if we had a tax on every person who lived in our communities? Shaftesbury, Pownell, Bennington, 25 cents a person, 50 cents a person, $1 a person. $1 a person in Bennington would raise $10,000, $15,000. Shaftesbury, we don't have that many people, but we've got a couple of thousand voters, at least. What if we did that and took the burden off the back of these people? They should be financed. They shouldn't have to go out and get money. They're volunteering their time. They're out in the woods catching wild cats, taking them to the vets, getting them spayed and neutered, finding homes for them. That's what they should be doing. They shouldn't have to raise money. That's your responsibility. This is a community problem. So that's what I suggest to you. I've watched them up close for many, many years working at this, and it's really quite admirable what they do. But their numbers have depleted over the years. They can't keep people doing this night and day, night and day. And it is a night and day job. I've seen Magdalena, heard her on the phone all weekend long, helping people like the kind of person who got up and said, I need help to know what to do. She tells them that. Jackie tells them that. You've got some solid people here. Magdalena's 92. How long can she continue this? As long as she's breathing, she says. So, anyway, think about it. Think about whose responsibility this is. Think about the kids in low-income neighborhoods being exposed to cats who could have infectious diseases, and many of them do. They need to get to a vet and be examined right away when they're babies. So, there's an idea.
Thank you, Alice. Jim, did you have something?
Sure. First of all, thank you again, and thank you for everybody who has contributed some thoughts and suggestions on this one. I mean, from my perspective, I've been convinced that this is a real issue that we need to take care of. As a community, I'm concerned about allocating 20 or 30 or 40% of our very limited discretionary budget at this stage in the fiscal year cycle. What I might be interested in doing for myself, suggesting for the board, is that we could make a contribution from said discretionary fund of like 10% of the discretionary fund of like $2,000 as a way to maybe encourage more people in the community to step up, and some of those community service organizations, which I hope you'll approach, to add to that and get up to the funding level that you need. So with that said, I would make a motion for the purpose of discussion to allocate $2,000 from the discretionary fund for Francis of Assisi Society for Animals.
Do I hear a second?
I would second that motion.
All right.
It's along the lines of the numbers that felt okay to me, but I was also, if I can ask one more question, I was wondering if there was a point in the year where the population of cats is naturally lower, is there a point at the year where these funds can have the most impact? I know time is of the essence now, but beyond that.
There used to be. There used to be a time where it was like, oh, we can kind of breathe for a moment. It's not kitten season. But for the past few years, every season has been kitten season. There's not been a break at all. I've not been without multiple foster cats in my home for 4 years. So unfortunately, no.
And when was that period previously?
Pre-COVID.
No,
but when
like spring, fall?
Usually winter. Usually like November to like February.
Okay.
It's a little quiet, and that was like all pre-COVID times.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Clark?
Hi. I understand Jim's motion and the intent. What, in keeping with Nancy's idea and my strong opinion that I think if it's a community problem, government is not the answer, community is the answer. And I strongly suggest that an outreach be made to the various community social groups that support causes in the community. I just don't believe government's the answer. Before I expend or support expending any government funding, I'd like to see the books and maybe the idea of a match. If we're going to put $2,000 up, I think we should consider that in matching funds, not a straight contribution. I really want to see more community involvement and funding from the community. I'm not a proponent of government interventions.
Can I address that, Mr. Adams?
Sure, Clark is fine.
Clark, great. So we all have real jobs. We're all volunteers. And again, we have survived this long on donations, which is a constant job on top of our jobs, on top of our families, on top of going out and rescuing cats, on top of answering phone calls every day, asking for funds. So that's how we have been surviving. And we've come here tonight because it's to a point that it's not helping as much as it used to, and that the town is seeing more cats. And I know you said that you personally haven't seen a lot of cats, but we've had testimony here that there's cats. So that is why we're here. We've exhausted community ask and outreach. We have fundraisers. We do it online. We have ones where we have events. And again, that takes time away from caring for our cats and from our jobs to do that. But I understand your view on that.
Right. I'm involved in several community action groups, everything from the Rotaries to the VFW, the American Legion, and we routinely write checks to people who come to us and say, we need your help. Tell you the truth, I haven't seen or heard you guys come to us. Actually, we just had at one of my organizations, we wrote a check for a couple $1,000s to somebody who came and asked. And, I heard you, and correct me if I misheard it, I didn't hear you say that you've gone out and been aggressively approaching these community service groups for assistance. And I understand, online, there's a lot of people who don't do social media, there's a lot of people who don't do Instagram and so forth. But it's been my experience that when you look people in the face and ask for money for a good cause, it's hard to say no. That's been my observation. This is a town full of good-hearted people. And I think if you look some of these folks in the face, say, hey, we're in a bind. And I'm not diminishing your past efforts or even your current efforts. I'm saying that you just got to dig deeper and work a little harder. And I'm not saying that to disparage you, but that's the bottom line. And before I've heard people suggest that we institute taxes, which in my mind creates a whole new can of worms. I'm hard-pressed to commit the government to a solution.
Okay.
We are actually scheduled to be in front of one of the Rotaries in December and, you know, getting in front of people and asking face-to-face for good-hearted people. Well, all of you are Bennington residents, and so we're coming to you hoping that you are going to be good-hearted people and help us.
I understand that, but I'm a Bennington resident, and I think I'm a good-hearted person, but I represent town government, not Clark the person. You know, I have to think of the town, not me. I'll yield to my peers.
Thanks, Clark. Ed?
If I can just start by saying I am grateful for the work that you do, and there isn't an amount of money that this board or this room is going to produce this minute that's going to solve the problem. If the motion that is on the floor that Jim made for a $2,000 approval for a $2,000 sort of assistance to you, I'm going to vote yes to that, because I appreciate, let me just finish, thank you, let me just finish my thought. I appreciate the fact that we are a number of Bennington citizens who do set an example. I think I'm going to use that. I don't want you to think, though, that I am disagreeing with my colleague Clark in terms of government responsibility. This is a tough one, folks. We need it. It has to happen. You can't really go from home to shop and do your errands and go back to home without seeing the stuff that you're talking about. So I am supporting that motion if it gets to a vote, and I wanted you to know the reason why, and I want you to know that I really do hope this town steps up further, and understanding that these folks are full-time in whatever else they do, so the amount of time that it takes to run a nonprofit is even harder. So I appreciate the work that you're doing.
I realize this has been a problem, and it's been a problem for many years. Obviously, it's really grown. But the budget we're in right now doesn't end until June, and we don't know what could come up. And I would much rather see you try to take a month and talk to the different fraternal organizations that may make donations right up front. They may agree to run a fundraiser. Some of these groups can raise thousands of dollars in one night, and there are a lot of groups right now looking for money, and my concern, if we do it tonight, the first thing, there's a lot of other groups who I think could be coming in here and said, well, you made an exception for one group, what about us? So I would rather try to see you doing it through the community and coming back in a month and letting us know, rather than, well, here it goes to the town taxpayers again. And do you just work in the town of Bennington?
Bennington County and Hoosick Falls.
Bennington County? Okay. Have you gone before other select boards in Bennington County yet?
No.
Okay. Well, that might be, I'm trying to think how many different select boards there are, but 5? Maybe that would be the thing to do, see if all the towns, all the select boards would agree to split the cost if you couldn't get the money through fundraisers or donations from the public.
Those are great ideas. Thank you, Nancy. And I just want to say, though, like, we're at a critical point, and time is really of the essence. So I think that we should pursue all of those suggestions. I think that community organizations can be super helpful. I appreciate all of those. But we also need to take action right now. Like I was saying, one cat right now is getting pregnant. Right? Like, I mean, like right this minute. And now another one is. And right now another one is. Like, this is what's happening out there. And we need to take care of this, like, spike right now. Because I just want you to all think about this as government officials, right? If we ceased to exist, who's going to take care of this? If there is no social service, there is no nonprofit organization, and now your town has thousands of sick, starving cats all over town, who takes responsibility then? Isn't that a town problem at that point? So I'm just giving you food for thought, okay? I'm not saying that We don't appreciate the $2,000. That would be wonderful if you were able to do that. I think that will help get us off on the right foot and get us moving, and we can start taking action now while we approach community organizations so that we can get the next $2,000, so that we can keep going, so we can get the next $2,000, and so we can get this problem taken care of. Thank you.
All right, I'm going to call the question on this, please. All those in favor of a one-time $2,000 allocation to Francis of Assisi Society for Animals, please say aye. Aye. And opposed? Any abstentions? 2 abstentions.
And had I been allowed to say, I would have supported it had you committed to going to all the other select boards in Bennington County to see what they would have given, Shasberry, Arlington, Dorset, Manchester, Pownell, I'm forgetting some. So had I been able to ask you if you said yes, I would have voted yes tonight, but...
Thank you very much.
Thank you for coming.
Thanks,
and for
guys.
the work you're doing.
Thank you for being here tonight, folks.
All right, next, we have an update from Cornerstone Housing. Mary Cohen is down.
I just wanted to take a moment to introduce Mary. So Mary is the Executive Director of Cornerstone Housing Partners, which is the newly merged organization of NeighborWorks of Western Vermont, the Housing Trust of Rutland, and Shire's Housing, which was the formerly the Bennington-based nonprofit housing agency. And since we're over time, I think I actually spoke with Mary right before the meeting, and she graciously said she doesn't need quite as much time for the update, so maybe we can move through that into the public hearing piece. That's kind of a very formal name for the final update, essentially, on how the funds that the town applied for through the Vermont Community Development Program for the Squire House project were used. Those funds were sub-granted to Shire's Housing and to redevelop the Squire House property. So Mary's going to give an update on Cornerstone and all the things that they're doing, and then we'll move right into that final hearing about the Squire House project.
That should be fine. Thank you.
Excuse me. I've asked at several meetings for Mary to come in so we could ask some questions. Mary agreed back in June at the meeting that they held she would be happy to come in here. So if people have questions, I think people should be able to ask.
I would point out, Nancy, that you're using some of that time right now. Mary, thank you.
Thank you for that introduction. Yes, my name is Mary Cohen. I'm the ED of the newly formed Cornerstone Housing Partners, which is a conglomeration of these 3 really special organizations. So Cornerstone...
I'm sorry to interrupt you, Mary. I have to ask the folks that are in the room to take conversation outside, because believe it or not, we hear it up here better than you can hear it back there. Thank you.
The name Cornerstone Housing Partners was created from what we called the Culture Club. We had a small group of staff members from each of the 3 organizations come up with this name. And it is really about new beginning, strength, and collaboration amongst the organizations. And we are focusing on the housing sector. It's a name that projects reliability, unity, and commitment to building and sustaining communities. It's really a conglomeration of all 3 organizations. So what it took to get here, and I think this is really kind of quite revealing, we had a merger committee, and it took 23 merger committee meetings, 54 board meetings, and you've got to remember there were 3 board of directors that had to meet regularly about this, 27 staff meeting discussions. Of course, the Culture Club was integral in helping this along. We had 7 staff retreats, 3 board retreats. We had to raise $410,000. We worked with 7 consultants, and it took 24 months, and it's still continuing. This is not something where you flip a switch and all of a sudden you are a fully formed organization. So together in 2025, what did we want to accomplish? We really want to accomplish functioning as one team. We're calling it One Cornerstone. We have more resident services in place. We have 520 residents that participate in SASH. We also have hired 2 new resident services coordinators, so now we have a total of 3 to help our residents sustain their housing. We're working towards new and efficient property management practices as well as efficient financial procedures. We're in the process of implementing these new practices. We have opportunity for more earned revenue through maintenance and management fees, and we have more access to homeownership services, particularly in the Bennington County area. And this is all the things that we're working on. So looking ahead, we are in the process of creating our strategic plan, which should be ready in January of 2026. We have recertified, or we are in the process of recertifying as a CDFI, which is a Community Development Financial Institution. We are actually a lender that gets capital into underserved communities. We are trying to enhance our partnerships here in Bennington. As you can see, this list of organizations we've already been in contact with. And we are also implementing a new software system that's property management and finance combined. That also, if anybody's done a software conversion, that's quite a hurdle as well. We have broken ground on a project in Rutland County called Forest Street. We are also about to break ground in East Creek Commons. We are redeveloping the Arlington Village Center. We are also have leased up Gage Street, which is now Paradise House, for 9 men in recovery, and we are also leasing a project in Rutland County called Marble Village, which is 24 units to the general population. We are in the process of deploying a portfolio repair project. We had a portfolio analysis done when we had considered the merging of the organizations, and we have a lot of good information about what our properties need. And through the NeighborWorks America program, we are getting resources to rehabilitate on smaller scale some of the projects throughout both counties. And we are also going to be redeveloping Corby Whitney. And I know that you've had residents of Corby come to you in the past, and it's time for sure to redevelop that project. So we're hoping to get that underway by the end of the year. So in Bennington specifically, we are trying to build our relationships with community partners. Again, Corby Whitney and Arlington Village Center are on the docket for redevelopment. We are hoping to move our office to a more visible location with added room for that homeownership center that we are promising to bring those services down. We are always looking for new development projects, more units that would be helpful in this community. And again, we're adding more capital investments to the current portfolio through that NeighborWorks portfolio strengthening project. In particular, there's 2 projects, Downtown Crossing and Bend South, if anybody is familiar with those. So today we are 54 employees, 15 board members, 823 affordable units, half of which are in Bennington. We have 74 homes in shared equity portfolio. We have a little over, or almost $3 million in a revolving loan fund for home repair and first-time home buyers down payment assistance. We have $12 million out in existing loans to customers, and we have $47 million of net assets under management. And I say housing heroes because the staff that work at our organization really are housing heroes. And I'm wondering if there's any questions.
Thanks very much. Could you explain to us a little bit about how the structure on your board is set up right now with people representing Bennington versus Rutland, et cetera?
Yep. Our bylaws say that we have 5 representatives from Rutland County and 5 representatives from Bennington County. Right now, although we have 15 slots, we have 11 board members, 2 of which, we had 5 when we started at the beginning of the year, but now we have 2 in Bennington. So we are in the recruitment process for some Bennington representation.
Anyone else? Nancy?
I know that Rutland County and Bennington County, the groups merged. That's Cornerstone. Shires is now Cornerstone with NeighborWorks of Rutland County and the Rutland County Housing Group. When did Addison County officially become part of Cornerstone?
Addison County is part of Cornerstone through NeighborWorks America Charter. So NeighborWorks of Western Vermont had a NeighborWorks charter that covered Addison, Bennington, and Rutland counties. So with that, Addison is still part of that NeighborWorks charter. We don't do redevelopment, or we don't do development projects in there. That is all about the homeownership center and the lending that the original NeighborWorks organization has done.
So Addison County won't be part of Cornerstone? They'll just work with NeighborWorks of Rutland County and in Addison County?
That's how it currently stands.
Okay. And again, for the Board of Directors, I know it was 15. I thought the night of the meeting it was 10 are from Rutland County, 5 from Bennington County. I was just concerned because Shires had half of the apartments between the two counties not having enough representation from Bennington.
So now our bylaws do state 5 members from Rutland County and 5 members from Bennington County.
So you're going to cut back from 15 to 10?
No, we're going to have 5 that are a little bit more flexible. So we might have 6 or 7 from Bennington, we might have 6 or 7 from Rutland, or we might have a few from Addison County because we do represent Addison as well.
And I'm interested in understanding what an equity house is.
A shared equity.
I'm sorry?
It's called shared equity home.
It said there's 75, 24 in Bennington County. Is this similar to what Habitat for Humanity does?
We work closely with Habitat, and sometimes their homes do become shared equity. And what shared equity is, it's a grant from Vermont Housing Conservation Board that is applied to the purchase price of the house, typically about 20% of the price. And in return, the homeowner agrees to share in the equity when they decide to sell the home.
So people who've lived in Bennington or even Bennington County all their lives, who've worked, who've rented, would they be having first shot at an equity house rather than somebody from outside of the state?
Shared equity opportunities come to us in a couple of ways. One is if somebody wants to sell their house, they have to sell it to a qualified buyer, which is, there are somewhat income limits in that. The second way is a buyer-driven shared equity home where somebody brings a house to the portfolio and says, I'd like to buy this house. Am I eligible for this grant? It's not necessarily just for people who have lived in Bennington their whole lives. It's for whoever wants to buy a house in Bennington.
No, but I'm hoping people who've lived in Bennington County
can take advantage.
Would have first chance rather than somebody from outside of the state coming in for a year and being able to jump to the head of the line. Is there any priority to people in Bennington County who've lived here?
We don't really have a line for that.
Nancy, I want to give other people a chance. We'll come back, but Jim?
Hi, Mary. Hi. Good to see you again. I'm wondering if you could just discuss briefly how project needs are identified or housing needs are identified in Bennington, or that they might be identified, and kind of the project development gets started. Like, how do you decide what to do in Bennington, in other words?
That's a good question, and I'm just in my beginning stages of exploring opportunities in Bennington. Sometimes opportunities come to us, meaning a physical building or some kind of land, or and that kind of starts the situation. We always do market studies to say what kind of housing do we need? Do we need senior housing? Do we need one-bedrooms? How many families are in need of housing? So all of that plays into the decision-making around project development. I hope that helped.
Anyone else? Clark.
To follow up on Jim's question, is housing that you say you identified, is that housing in general, or is it specific, affordable, like low income, versus workforce? What are the criteria?
That's a good question. We operate in the low-income housing tax credit world, which is affordable, typically up to 60% of median income, but some of our projects do also go up to a market rate. It's typically a smaller percentage of the units, but we're seeing more and more of that request through our funders.
And you mentioned the core of residents, their housing is going to be upgraded or redeveloped. Where are any of these people being moved to other facilities, or
Temporarily.
Temporarily. Do you have a timeline when we start seeing those changes?
We're hoping to close on that project, meaning all our funding in place by the end of this year. And we don't quite have a phasing plan yet. The Cora B. Whitney is also getting paired with a building in Brandon called Conant Square. They are very similar projects. They both house seniors. They're both about the same age. They're both in desperate need of development, a redevelopment. And so we're not sure if we're going to start both of them at the same time or start Cora first or start Conant first. My guess would be probably, and this is just a guess, I can't say for sure, but probably we will start down here in Bennington, and so it would be towards the end of the year when we would start the relocation plan. And really what we'd like to do is have units that are empty in the building, so when somebody vacates, we don't rent them when we know a project is coming in, so they might go from the second floor to the third floor while their unit is being redone. So that's how we like to do it. Sometimes we do have to take people off-site. Sometimes people go and stay with families for short times. It's a real puzzle to create a relocation plan.
That's what I was concerned about, is the elderly population in Vermont when they're being displaced.
We'll take,
Trauma.
sure. We'll take good care of them, I promise.
I can think of apartment buildings that were built in Bennington for seniors, or as far as Cora B, it was renovated for seniors. Will the focus continue to be on seniors rather than people who aren't seniors but may have some issues?
I'm sorry, your question is, are we going to continue to focus on seniors, or are we going to?
Seniors being able to get into the buildings that were built in Bennington for senior housing, or Cora B was renovated for senior citizens. And it seems like some of the people being able to rent aren't seniors but may have challenges.
Yes. We haven't done a market study. I haven't done a market study in Bennington to really know what the need is. We call a lot of our projects general population, which means, that is exactly what it is, the general population, with just some income restrictions. That's mostly what I know in Rutland County. That's what we're seeing. The highest need is for one-bedroom units. Our projects now, we have a 30-unit that is probably 20 one-bedroom units, some two-bedroom, and some micro units. So it's a mix. Did I answer your question?
I'm sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you because you're not speaking the microphone.
Okay, sorry.
Will the buildings and seniors built for seniors, or Cora B renovated for seniors, will the priority continue to be seniors rather than people who may not be seniors but who have issues?
It could be whatever the market study says. If we do a market study on a particular project, we will need to do that. We could also talk to community members, see what the need is. We might be replacing some senior housing if that's the case. I just don't know offhand.
Then that's a concern, because everybody knows Vermont has an aging population, and it concerns me. Buildings I can think of specifically for seniors, renovated for seniors. Now it kinds of seems like seniors maybe aren't going to be the priority they should be. We have seniors.
I think it's premature to say anything seems like anything, because she's basically said that she doesn't have the information that you're asking for.
Well, she said it's on what the market is saying. Correct?
What the market study would tell us is where we would probably end up. So if it was seniors, then it would be seniors.
I interpret that as there's no commitment to any set groupings, what the market will bear.
It's more of what the market needs.
Well, and again, the brain of every organization I deal with, when one population comes up, the brain of Vermont, our senior population. So I'm hard pressed to think that we wouldn't be looking forward in that direction. That seems to be what's going on in this.
Well, that's great feedback. If you believe that this community needs senior housing, certainly take that seriously.
All right, I'm going to move this out to the community. Does anyone have any questions for? Come on up. Please state your legal name and town of resident.
Hi, name's Ripper, town of Bennington. I just had a question that I thought Nancy brought up that was interesting. So when someone's looking for a house, you said, or it sounded like you were saying how you don't prioritize between Vermont citizens or someone from out of state. So I was just questioning, is that a policy? If that is a policy, can we change, it would be possible to change the policy, or what's the reasoning behind not prioritizing the people that are already living here instead of trying to encourage people to live here? Because as someone who doesn't own a house yet, I find that very concerning that we might be prioritizing out-of-staters versus people who are already in the state. So I was just looking for clarification on that. Thank you.
We don't prioritize people who are living here because of HUD regulations primarily. However, I can tell you that in practice, it's a lot easier to deal with or to engage with people who are living here. If we have to go from a wait list that HUD says we have to go off of because they've requested information and we mail them a letter and we ask, are you seriously moving? The number of people who from Arkansas or Minneapolis or wherever those letters are going, the likelihood of them coming is lower, or in practice it's lower. So typically we are dealing with people who are living here already.
Anyone else? All right. Then, Shannon, I think we should probably slide into the closeout hearing. The Squire House Recovery residents and the
formal process.
plot
I'm just
plan.
going to give you an update on what's happening in this beautiful building. Okay. This is Squire House. It is on North Street. It is an absolutely beautiful building. What has been done to the house? The house now includes a one-bedroom transitional apartment, one two-bedroom apartment, and a 1 4-bedroom unit. And there's also meeting and office space for V4. The interior conversion of office space into residential units, there's been extensive energy efficiency through insulation and air sealing. All of the historic details have been preserved, and there's been some additional upgrades to kitchens and bathrooms. It is now handicapped accessible. There are concrete walkways and utility upgrades. The slate roof was repaired. The historic windows were repaired, could not be replaced. There was painting and siding and repair replacement. It has a new energy efficiency boiler. It has heat pumps for cooling. It has a new sprinkler system. And Vermont Foundation for Recovery, or V4, are the people who are subletting or leasing this property from us. They have strong relationships with Turning Point, UCS, Southwestern Medical Center, Probation and Parole, Department of Family Services. V4's Bennington Recovery Home for Women and Children, women and women with children represent an important step in V4's ongoing efforts to expand access to safe, supportive housing for Vermonters in recovery, particularly for women and families who are often underserved. And right now, 2 of the 3 units are filled as of today, and they continue to help many people in need in our community.
2 units filled?
2 of the 3 are currently filled.
Which ones?
I believe the 4-bedroom, or the larger one with, there is a person in there with children, and then the 1-bedroom.
Any other questions from the board? Any from the community? All right.
I had a quick question.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
When this was first announced, we were told that there were members of a church that were going to be helping out there. Do they still volunteer, or do they work there?
That would be a question for V4, not that I know of. I haven't heard of any volunteers from the church that are there.
Well, Shannon is here, isn't she?
I don't I don't currently, Nancy, have an update. I think I could reach out to John Rogers from Mission City Church. He was very involved with the helping to build this coalition. Now, this was before Mary came on board, but he helped to convene all of these partners to make the project happen. But I don't know if Mission City is still involved now that V4 is managing the project.
Okay.
But I can find out more.
No, I just think it's important to know if they're volunteers or if they're getting paid, what training did they receive to work in a recovery house? That would be my question. And are we going to be getting the closeout on the house across from the rec center? That was part of the first $1 million grant?
Yeah, that's part of the process when the town applies for these funds through the Vermont Community Development Program. There's always going to be a public hearing before the application, and then there's a public hearing at the end after the funds are spent to explain how the funds have been used. So that we would do the same thing for Gage Street when that project is completed and they close it out.
And it was Shires, and now it's Cornerstone with the house across from the rec center?
That's right.
Okay.
I'll let you speak to that.
Thank you.
Anything else? And Shannon, you don't need anything else from this board, do you?
No, it's really just for the...
All right. Very good. All right, seeing nothing else, thank you very much. I appreciate you driving down.
Thank you.
All right, next, proposed new town plan, the submittal to the select board. I'll remind everyone that we are not discussing the town plan this evening.
No, not this evening. You'll see in front of you a large amount of papers, and that is the proposed new town plan as approved by the Planning Commission on September 8th, just last week. And as you can see, there is a memorandum that is attached to that town plan, and essentially the Planning Commission, with that memorandum, is submitting to you folks on the Select Board for review and adoption the proposed new town plan and maps for the town of Bennington. The next steps for the Select Board, there's essentially 5 steps. One is pretty easy, acknowledging receipt of the proposed town plan. The second one is scheduling a minimum of 2 public hearings to review the town plan, and then holding those hearings, and then finally adopting a resolution to or passing a resolution to adopt the town plan. I'm asking for this evening for a motion to acknowledge receipt and schedule at least the first 2 public hearings. I'm suggesting that they be held on October 27th, which is the second meeting in October, and November 10th, which is the first meeting in November, regular meetings for the Select Board. Obviously, there can be additional meetings. There can be a work session with the Planning Commission if the board so desires. But for the purposes this evening, it would be sufficient if the receipt of the proposed plan was acknowledged and the 2 required public hearings were scheduled so that I could put out the legal notices that are necessary to make those, for those meetings.
Jim?
I'd make a motion to acknowledge receipt of the proposed town plan from the Planning Commission and to schedule the 2 required Select Board public hearings for the second October meeting and the first November meeting, which I think you said were the 27th and the 10th.
Yep, that's correct.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay, well, since we are voting on this, anything from the public on this? Jack?
Hi, Ripper. So I just wanted to have a clarifying question. So you guys are just voting on that you received the document, that you're not making any alterations until the first public meeting? Is that my understanding?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
Anything from this board?
Nope. I don't see how this board can vote on the deadline by January. I think we need an extension from the state of Vermont, and the reason is the Bennington County Alliance. As I brought up at the last meeting, most of our citizens and private business owners have no idea who this group is. They've been meeting for over 2 years, planning the future of Bennington. I believe town officials have worked with them. I know they have a plan for homelessness, a plan for housing. I think last week I heard there was a economic development group. We need to bring each of these groups in here to tell us publicly what is their plan. Does the board and the people of Bennington agree? I mean, how can we approve this knowing they've had so much say on the town plan, but the public and business owners haven't?
So can I respond to that, Tom? I don't.
Sure.
The select board. I don't know who this group is, but I can guarantee the planning commission has had no direct interaction with these folks. So I don't understand Nancy's accusation regarding some outside organization putting together this town plan. This town plan was put together by the planning commission with the help of the Bennington County Regional Commission, with much public input.
I would point out also that there are numerous groups in town that are doing work around subjects that are important to them, and that they may bring something before this board, but if that does happen, then the final word rests with this board. So if they have somehow made any kind of contributions to this plan, the final approval still remains with this board. And I don't know that it's necessary to bring everybody in for a dog and pony show when we have a plan that has been accepted by the Planning Commission that we can now take input from the public on and provide our own input. I don't see why it's necessary to drag this out past the deadline.
And what would be the point of that when if we're talking about it, we're wasting time not getting started? I'd like to move on the motion.
Yeah, and I would just say for clarification, it's the responsibility of the Municipal Planning Commission to prepare the town plan. They can take input from anybody that they want to while they prepare the town plan. Then they have a public hearing on it. They make alterations and they can pass it on to the select board. We have public hearings and people can make comments and suggestions to us at that time. There's plenty of opportunity for public input. Thank you.
Well, I'll remind everybody, for at least 4 years, different people on this board have said it's up to Bennington residents to go to the town website, find information that's available. There's been no one has ever posted when these groups have met. Many people are concerned about homelessness and housing and economic development. If town officials had been working with these groups, these meetings should have been public.
The meetings were public.
All
I've
planning
attended a
commission
number of
meetings.
them.
All planning commission meetings are public and publicly warned.
But
All right, so let's vote on the motion, please. All those in favor of acknowledging receipt of the proposed town plan and setting the initial public hearings for October 27th and November 10th, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And any abstentions?
And I have another comment. In the draft, it names one Bennington County nonprofit after another and says our town should work with all of them.
We are not discussing the draft at this point. We're not discussing the plan.
But it has been selected.
All we're here tonight, Nancy,
Point of order,
is
we're
to
not here to
accept-
discuss the plan. That's for the public hearing.
It's technical. The select board.
I'm going to call it again, point of order. We're not here to discuss the elements of the plan. We just agreed on our first step, which was acknowledgement and scheduling. Thank you.
This is the technical issue the select board has had for 50 years.
plan.
Here's the thing, Nancy. We voted. We fulfilled the obligation on the agenda, and we will be discussing the town plan. So if you have technical points to be made at that point in time, we can hear that. But for now, this topic for this meeting is closed. So we'll now move on to the town manager position update. We wanted to take the opportunity to let the public know what we've been doing and perhaps hear any input from the public. We have met twice in executive session since Stu's passing. The first meeting was primarily, I think, discovering what we don't know and setting up ways to acquire that information that we needed. We have met with and heard from senior town staff, various stakeholders in town, and are moving as quickly as possible toward making a decision on this matter. And that sound about right to everyone? Does anyone have anything to add to that?
I think you've covered it, Tom. I think the only thing I'd say is, that we wanted to make sure that we have the job description for the town manager buttoned down. So we've discussed that and are currently in the process of reviewing and finalizing that. The current acting town manager is the assistant town manager, so we also want to make sure that we have the assistant town manager job description hashed out, so we've been working on that a little bit too.
So any other comments from the board? Would anyone from the public like to speak? All right, no questions for us as to what? Okay. Thank you very much. Then we will move on to the manager report. Mr. Monks.
Thank you. I want to mention right off the bat, so I don't forget, is there is a statewide burn ban, so no new permits will be issued for open burning, and any permits that have already been issued, those folks are asked not to burn under those existing permits. So no burning due to the drought conditions in the state of Vermont. That's, like I said, a statewide ban. I do have one action item tonight. And I know that we discussed this just briefly at the last meeting, but the project is moving forward. The Maplewood Subdivision Homeowners Association has requested that the town accept the dedication of the roads within their subdivision. Those roads are Duffy Drive, Jane Lane, and Hilder Hill, excuse me. Jane Lane, Hilder Hill, Duffy Drive. The HOA has agreed to pave the roads at their cost, and our DPW Director, R.J. Jolly, has inspected the roads and determined that once those roads are paved to the town specifications, they will meet the requirements of the town for roadways. The HOA has secured the financing for the paving and will submit payment to the town. If approved by the Select Board, the town will contract for and oversee that work. So the HOA will deposit the funds with the town, and then we will contract with the paving company and oversee that work and pay for that work with the HOA's funds that were deposited with the town. If you folks are amenable, I'm asking for a motion to accept the dedication of the roads in the Maplewood subdivision, subject to paving of the roads at the HOA's expense to Town of Bennington specifications as determined by the DPW Director, and subject to execution and submission of the legal documents, deed of identification and acceptance, HOA resolution, et cetera, acceptable to Town Council. That will give us the opportunity to work with these folks, try to get the paving done this season, and have that wrapped up before the end of the construction season. That is their request. As I mentioned, the DPW Director feels comfortable with it, as do I. Have discussed this with Council, and our Council feels comfortable with this as well. So if the Board is amenable, I would request that motion be made.
Could we have the motion first? Okay. And then we could discuss it.
I move to accept the dedication of the roads, et cetera, et cetera.
And I'll second it so we can discuss it.
All right. So discussion, please. Clark.
My question, and I don't think, I'm out of hitting range, the idea of the actual paving being done by DPW, or DPW is going to supervise a contractor doing the work?
It'll be overseen by our DPW. The DPW will not be doing the paving. They'll be contracting with, I believe it's Peckham, to do the work, but we will not be doing the Town of Bennington will not be doing the paving.
Is there any possibility that if we were to do it, it could be in our interest to do it?
The HOA is paying for it, so there's really no benefit for us to do it, yeah.
Other than us keeping money.
Anyone else?
Yep.
Nancy?
All the culverts, drains, everything's up there. The Highway Department is satisfied with what's there. All they need is paving.
I'm looking directly at RJ.
No, I just wanted to make
yes,
sure.
yes. But it's nice to have that confirmation.
Okay.
And they're already paying property taxes, correct? So they're paying for plowing services regardless?
Yes, so, that has been one of the issues that they've brought up over the years, is they do pay the same amount of taxes as everyone else. Unfortunately, the developer, at the time that the project was initially built out, made the decision not to bring the roads up to town specifications, so all of their deeds include that notice that the town will not be maintaining the roads unless and until those roads are brought up to spec.
I know there was one person here that was asking about this item. Did you want to say anything? If you come to the microphone, please.
Gene Payne, and I agree with what you're saying.
I just need...
We have paid property taxes for 30 years and highway taxes for 30 years.
What's your name? I'm sorry.
Keith Colbath.
Okay.
I live on Jane Lane. And what did you have? Questions for me, or?
No, I just, you asked when this line item was, so I thought you might have something to say about it.
To be here when you did this, yeah. And one thing I should clarify is there was a fire on Jane Lane. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it. The fire department, of course, the house was kind of on a hill, so the Jane Lane hill is eroded terribly.
I assume, yeah. We'll take care of that and make sure that it's appropriately graded before it's paved.
All right. That's all I have.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right. So everyone in favor of the motion, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Only a couple other, well, before we move on, I know that the chair had discussed the possibility of moving the next listening session from a Thursday, October 16th, to another date. I have checked in with the schedule at the fire facility, and I've confirmed that that October 14th, October 20th, and October 22nd are available should the board choose to have that listening session on another date, a date other than the 16th. So given the time that we have left to make sure that we get that information out, I would ask that you folks make a determination at this meeting, because our next meeting's not till the 13th, so that would be pretty close to the 16th.
What was the date in later October?
The 20th or the 22nd.
Okay.
14th, the 20th, or the 22nd are available.
What day is the 20th?
I'd have to look on my calendar.
It's a Monday.
Jackie beat me to it. Yes, and the 22nd is a Wednesday, and the 14th is a Tuesday.
And I have no problem with changing the date. I kind of like to avoid the back-to-back meeting phenomenon if we could, and the 14th, and either the 20th or the 22nd would be okay.
What was our reason for needing to reschedule it from the 16th?
I simply asked because for my own personal benefit, because I work on Thursday nights now.
Oh.
So I'm happy to have it left at Thursday, and I'll watch them on television if that's the route this board would like to go. But
I just wanted to know why we were staying away from the 16th. I get it. I think that somebody just made a point about a little later in the month. I think that if we spread it out that far, now we're rewarning a new date. Let's go with the 20th or the 22nd. That would be my opinion.
Clark.
And also, Tom, as I recall from when the listening sessions came up, the idea of all of the select board members being here was not kind of one of the mandates in there. If folks could make it, they were invited. So, if I understand we all have responsibility.
We might not all be able to make it to that. We sort of did agree with that. In other words, Tom, if we can't get off the 16th, you're excused.
Well, I don't want to miss everyone in perpetuity.
But I'm okay with changing it.
No, I'm okay with changing. I just wanted to let you know that I don't think we're being dogmatic. That we all have lives outside of this room.
I appreciate that.
Both the 20th and the 22nd work for me.
How about you, Nancy?
Doesn't matter.
20 or 22nd, okay with you?
What is it, a Monday or Wednesday?
Right.
What about Wednesday?
Want to do the 22nd?
The fire department isn't here that night? Okay.
22nd work for everyone?
I'm here when you need me.
All right, book the room, Dano.
10:22 it is. Okay, thank you. All right. Now we have a couple of other quick things. Jim will be happy to hear, and I think we even copied him on it. We have formally submitted our request to do force account work on a portion of the Ninja Trail from the Walmart Plaza to the Furnace Brook. And we're counting on Jim to pull out all the stops with his political connections to make that happen for us. But all kidding aside, we are very hopeful that that will be approved, because that will be would make it much easier for us to accomplish that project and without cost to the taxpayer. One other thing, quick thing, I know that folks we talked at the last meeting about the PFOA and PFAS contamination and the water line extensions, funding in particular for those water line extensions, as well as the state efforts to pursue St. Gobain. I was able to reach out to folks at Agency of Natural Resources, and we do have a meeting set up late this month. Initially, it will be between A&R officials, myself, and the chair and the vice chair, and perhaps some folks from DPW if they're available. But I just want to let you know that's on the books, and I'm sure that Jim and Tom will report, as well as it may make sense for us to bring down those folks to do a presentation to the full board once we hear kind of what's going on. So just want to let you know that that's happening. And that's all I have.
Questions?
Go ahead, Nancy.
For the Ninja Path update,
Yes.
are we going to know by budget time about the force account being approved?
That is our hope, Nancy. Gosh, it would really be nice if the state and the feds would follow our timeline, and we're really going to push them, but I can't guarantee that.
Is the work we're doing right now?
That is under contract with Belden. That is under contract with Belden Construction.
Okay, but is that the $2 million grant the town got?
That was funding that we previously received.
So we haven't started on the $2 million
I don't believe so. I'd have to check back and see. We may have used some of that to get to this, but I'd have to look back at the accounting for that.
Because I'm concerned about that $400,000 to the town without the force account.
Absolutely. That's why the force account makes so much sense. Goes from being a very expensive project to a project that we might do better than breaking even on.
Okay. And the other thing, I'm concerned about the meeting with just the chair and the vice chair. Will there be minutes from that meeting?
Probably not. Maybe the A&R will keep them, but this is an informal meeting, and we'll have a public meeting probably afterwards. But this is the initial meeting we'll have.
I think Jim and I would be happy to share any notes that we take.
Okay.
Yeah, we expect to report back, and then also request, as appropriate, additional public meetings where they present
So no decisions are going to be made?
Absolutely not. This is really just an update. Folks were concerned about how aggressively the state was pursuing St. Gobain and what the likelihood of funding was for the future build-out of these necessary water line extensions. As you'll recall, some of those water line extensions are mostly funded, but many of them are just in the design phase, and there hasn't been funding identified for the actual construction yet. And so we really want to get a handle on where things are with the state.
Question.
Clark.
To Nancy's concern, could she or anyone else participate in this as a non-quorum? If we don't get a quorum of select board members, would that be acceptable for her or anyone else to attend if we don't have a quorum?
That's really up to you folks. As long as we don't have a quorum, it's not a public meeting, so if there's other folks, but I think we'd have to stay with
And then it
limited
turns
to 3.
into if more than one person that isn't already wanting to go, now you have a quorum. So just let's all be careful about this. I think that our chair and vice chair have been elected by you all. They ought to be trusted to do the job.
All right. Upcoming agenda. Of course, we'll be keeping the community updated on the situation around the manager. Dan, do you have anything specific?
Yep. Bennington Rescue, oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I know that you folks were looking for a vacant property presentation, so we will do an update on that, current situation as well as possible ways that we could proceed. We will not be proposing a recommendation as far as something that the board would adopt, but look for direction from you folks about where we should go.
Nancy?
Bennington Rescue Squad. I just read a couple of weeks ago that they're planning on starting a new program at the end of the year. I don't think they would have considered this program. I think they may be getting pressure from other groups to do this. This isn't a program that town taxpayers pay for. It's very disappointing that the Select Board liaison didn't have them in here months ago for a public discussion. So we need to talk about with them about that at the next meeting.
I'm sorry, what program?
I'm sorry?
What is the program? What program?
Well, it's kind of like they're going, I don't want to really talk about, I mean, it was in an email that the squad sent out. It's kind of like they're going to be social workers going into people's homes talking to them.
Point of order, this board does not manage the rescue squad.
Right.
Please.
And Jackie, has the rescue squad given any indication they want to come?
Well, here's the difference, Ed. If they were finding...
No, they have not.
Okay.
Go ahead, Jackie.
I'm sorry, I was answering the chair's question. They've not requested to come in and speak to us. I certainly would have facilitated that.
If we have questions with them during budget season, they'll be in to discuss their budget with us, Nancy. That's our
Ed,
responsibility.
their two biggest stakeholders are the Select Board and the town taxpayers, who are providing them, I think, close to $250,000. In order to start a new program, they should have been in here talking with us.
You need to understand, Nancy, that I cannot mandate that a group that is not part of the town specifically to come in here and talk to us.
But they have made it clear, like many rescue squads across the state, they need help locally from local taxpayers. I have no problem with that. If they're starting a new program, that doesn't make sense if they're having problems right now funding what they're doing.
They have a board that can decide what makes sense for them.
Yeah, the rescue squad receives funds from a variety of different sources. It's not only from the town. We certainly have the opportunity to ask them questions about their expenses and their operations when they come in here for the budget season to receive the funds from this board. They receive funds from, I believe, other boards around town, as well as
Much
payouts.
of what they do is grant-based, which is, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Jackie.
No,
This
you're right.
program could be coming from a grant. We have no business supervising their programming.
But this goes back to the concern that I've raised about the liaison. One person has been with the squad all year. When that board member heard them talking about a new program, why wouldn't the board member have come back and shared that with the rest of the board and the public?
That program wasn't relevant to the activities of this board.
I'm sorry?
That program wasn't relevant to the activities of this board.
And I think the rescue squad is overall pretty forthcoming with the community in terms of very wide social media use, explaining to people what exactly they're doing and what their needs are. So I think that they're doing the best they can with the resources that they have.
I understand that, but this is
I don't want to put words in their mouth, but I imagine that they would appreciate your concern about their fiscal health, and I'm happy to provide you a link to a place you can go make a donation to them.
But this is a program that either the legislature should be funding or the Vermont healthcare system.
And we don't know who's funding it. I'd like us to move on.
Right, yeah, and I'm afraid, Nancy, it's not our business.
It's not our business.
It's not this board's business.
Despite the fact that we're major stakeholders, it's not our business.
As long as they are responsible with the monies that we allocate to them, then no.
It's not our business. Okay.
I mean, we're going to hear, as has been pointed out, we're going to hear from the rescue squad when they request funding from the town for as part of our budget, and that would be the appropriate time to ask them about their operations.
Because then it's our business.
And I'll double check and ask if they'd like to come in earlier, and if they do, I'll certainly pass that along to the chair.
Well, I'll remind the board, we were told back in January at the budget meetings that the BCRC is talking to all the rescue squads in Bennington County about possible consolidation. That is our business, and we should have had an update by now.
That would come between BCRC and the rescue squad. When they want to talk to us, they'll let us know. I'm sorry, I'd like to move on.
Yeah, we do need to move on from this. Anything
The only other thing that I may have, Tom, is as we discussed in the past, we are looking for a purchaser of the Morgan Street spring water, and I may have a contract for you folks to review at the next meeting. So I can't promise that, but we are working on that.
Other business. Nancy?
Nothing.
Okay. Jim?
I think that we've covered a lot of business tonight. No more business.
Jackie?
I have nothing further tonight.
Clark?
Personal housekeeping kind of thing. I'm going to be traveling to Europe from tomorrow until Kentucky 11th, but I will be reachable via email, and if anything here pops up, I'll have my laptop and I'll need links if you folks want me to sit in on anything.
All right, excellent. Ed?
I just want to congratulate this entire community for a job well done on coming together to build and open a skateboard park. I have never seen more smiles in one place among kids and young adults, and a couple of old adults too. So I'm grateful that we live in Bennington, and the kind of people that it takes live around us. Thank you.
Very well said. And I just wanted to remind everyone that we are still seeking, there's about another week left, for people to apply to the Community Policing Advisory Review Board to fill the 2 open seats. So if you have been considering doing so, you need to do so pretty soon.
By the 26th is the deadline.
By the 26th. So that's closer than I thought it was. So please do so right now. Thank you. We do have need for an executive session to discuss personnel and a contract. We do not expect to take action this evening. Do I have a motion to enter executive session, please?
Second.
And a second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Thank you very much. I'll give everyone a moment to clear